Picture this. A construction site at sunrise. Hard hats, coffee, the usual chorus of power tools. And somewhere in the middle of it all, one builder decides they're done losing days to paperwork, miscommunication, and the constant game of phone tag. You're telling me a builder looked at the chaos and thought, you know what this needs? Software.
Exactly. And it wasn't just nice to have. They integrated a digital workflow that tightened up the whole process, and the results were wild. Construction timelines shrank by as much as 30 days.
A whole month. That's not shaving off a little waste, that's changing the rhythm of the job. So what actually sped things up? Think of all the slow, invisible friction on a build, waiting on approvals, hunting down the latest version of a plan, re-entering information in 3 different places, calling 5 people to confirm one detail. When software ties scheduling, updates, and coordination together, fewer things fall through the cracks, and fewer people are standing around waiting. And maybe the foreman doesn't have to solve every problem by yelling into the wind. Right. The bigger point is that a smooth digital system can beat sheer hustle. Manual labor still matters, obviously, but the administration around construction can either drag a project or propel it. This builder basically proved that speed doesn't always come from moving faster. Sometimes it comes from stopping the rework.
Okay, so story 1 is hopeful. Tech actually helping people finish earlier instead of just giving them new passwords to forget. But then we travel from the job site to Sacramento? Yeah, and the mood changes. California is looking at a bill that has experts raising eyebrows because it could open the door to taxing certain retirement accounts. And if that sentence made your shoulders tense up, you're not alone.
It's the phrase taxing retirement that hits like a jump scare. People treat that money like sacred territory. It's not just savings, it's the plan, the finish line.
Totally. Retirement accounts are where a lot of people stash their hopes for stability later on. So when a state starts eyeing them, the worry is that what you thought was protected might come with conditions or new rules or, worst case, unexpected costs. And it's not just about dollars, it's about trust. If the rules can shift after you've been saving for years, you start wondering what's actually predictable. That's the heart of the reaction. People want to know what exactly is being taxed, who would it affect, and when. The fact that the bill is even being discussed is enough to make financial folks start squawking, because retirement planning depends on clarity. Surprise invoices are the opposite of clarity. Nothing says golden years like a letter that starts with important tax notice. And this is where it gets interesting. Whether or not the bill becomes reality, the conversation reveals how anxious people are about retirement right now. Costs are up, longevity is up, and confidence is not always up.
So we've got speed and efficiency on the construction side, and uncertainty and pressure on the retirement side. Let's take a breath before we move to our next scene, which, if I'm reading this right, involves plants and spirituality. Yes, we're going to London, to Kew Gardens. Imagine trading spreadsheets and policy debates for greenhouses, winding paths, and that quiet you only get when you're surrounded by leaves instead of notifications. I already feel calmer. What's happening there? Kew Gardens is hosting faith retreats, spiritual gatherings where people can reflect, pray, and reset in a botanical setting. It's like saying, if you want to work on your inner life, why not do it somewhere that's been patiently growing life for centuries? So instead of fluorescent lights and folding chairs, you get ferns and quiet benches.
Exactly. And it makes sense when you think about it. Gardens naturally slow you down. They nudge you into paying attention. And spiritual practice, whatever it looks like for you, often starts with that same shift, from rushing to noticing. There's something about being around living things that aren't on your schedule. Plants don't care about your calendar, they just grow. And in a world that keeps getting louder, retreats like this offer a different kind of space. Not necessarily to escape reality, but to return to it with a steadier mind. You might find deep inner peace, or you might just finally hear yourself think. Both are wins. Okay, I love that as a palate cleanser. But now we've got our final story, and it jumps from gardens to hospitals, with AI in the middle. Right, here's the setup. Hospital visits can feel impersonal, rushed, and administrative, like you're a chart being moved through a system instead of a person being cared for. The please fill out these forms vibe, the waiting, the repeating your allergy list to 5 different people. Exactly. Now hospitals are using AI tools to make care more personal and more efficient. And I know AI in healthcare can sound cold at first, like you're about to be treated by a spreadsheet with a stethoscope, but the promise here is kind of the opposite. So, where does it actually help?
AI can help clinicians sort through information faster, catch patterns, streamline scheduling and documentation, and support more tailored care. The dream is less time spent wrestling with systems and more time spent actually talking to the patient.
And it remembers your allergies, which is the bare minimum, but also crucial.
Right. If a tool helps the team avoid mistakes and reduces the burden of repetitive tasks, it can make the experience feel less soul-crushing and more human. Not because the machine is compassionate, but because it frees humans up to be. In other words, AI isn't the caregiver. It's the assistant that stops the caregiver from burning out.
That's the best version of it. Of course, it raises questions too. How accurate is it? How is data protected? Who's accountable if something goes wrong? But the direction is clear. Hospitals are trying to make the experience smoother, and technology is one lever they're pulling. So let me connect the dots across all four stories. A builder uses software and cuts a month off timelines. California considers a policy that makes people worry about the safety of retirement savings. Kew Gardens turns nature into a setting for spiritual reset. And hospitals use AI to make care feel less like paperwork and more like, well, care. That's the thread. Systems. When systems work, life feels lighter. Projects finish sooner, appointments go smoother, people get time back. When systems feel unstable or unpredictable, like the fear around retirement taxes, people get anxious fast. And when you can't control the system, you look for a garden, or a retreat, or someplace that reminds you you're not just a line item. Exactly. Today's stories are about speed, security, stillness, and support. And maybe the big question for all of us is, where in your life could a better system give you breathing room? And where do you need protection from systems that might change the rules midstream?
And if none of that is solvable this week, at least go sit near a plant. Apparently that's the theme.
Software for the build, clarity for the future, green space for the soul, and smart tools for the clinic. That's the episode. We'll be back with more stories that make you think and hopefully make things feel a little more navigable. Please like, subscribe, and join us at I Am Healthy Money.
Life has its ups and downs, but you're not alone.
From 2 to 102, we're in this together, right here, right now. We love ya.